Okay, it's time to commit. 2024 is the year for prioritizing yourself. Begin your new smile journey with Byte, and you could start seeing results in just 2 to 3 weeks. Just order your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95 at Byte.com. Byte clear liners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces, plus they offer financing options, accept eligible insurance, and you could pay with your HSA, FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes, like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales. And we've built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/trial and get started.
Lifestyle Life. Come and see, you'll agree. There's a positive energy. Lifestyle Life.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Lifestyle Live Podcast.
Faces you know and a team you can trust. Stories that form your heart. Lifestyle Live. Lifestyle Live.
I'm going to be totally honest. I don't typically get nervous about interviews. Getting to interview you is a big deal for me. I'm a huge fan.
Get nervous.
I know. And it doesn't, I've been doing this a long time. So I feel like sometimes it's, especially with comedians, there's more pressure because you don't want comedians to feel like they have to be funny, but you also comedians are funny naturally. It's like a weird balance.
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm never funny on these. I tuned in to see a comedian doing an interview on this, and it was Adam Ferrara, and he was wall to wall funny. I was like, oh my gosh, I have nothing.
She's a comedy icon, one of the funniest people on the planet, and one of my all-time favorite comedians, and she is back on tour. Sarah Silverman is bringing her upcoming Postmortem tour to Indianapolis at Clues Memorial Hall this weekend, and I am so honored to have her join me now. Sarah, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, and I can't wait to get there.
What is it like for you when you go back out on these tours? You've done several of them at this point, but do you still get nervous? Do you get excited? What is that overall feeling?
Yeah, I get nervous and I get excited. I get nervous anytime I'm any distance away from my house. And I'm going to be really far from my house.
Yeah, very far.
But I kind of like it too. Once you're on tour, it's just the tour. It's just packing, unpacking, because I'm a crazy person that unpacks every single day. Packing, unpacking, going to the airport, going to the, driving in the car, doing the show, going to the next city, and it becomes kind of meditative because there's not anything else. There's no room for anything else, and I like it. It's just this show and this work and going from town to town and connecting with audiences, and I love that.
Is it simply, hang on, I'm going to make one quick adjustment here. Okay, perfect. Is it, do you live out of the, avoid living out of the suitcase? Is that why you pack and unpack and pack and unpack again? Or is it just like a habit that you created?
I think I don't know. I mean, I don't completely unpack.
Sure.
I mostly live out of a suitcase, but all my toiletries, listen, it takes several creams to look this good. And
Same.
so, I have to check a bag and, I have to unpack all my things for each night that I need, all my various creams and dental things. And that sounds, anyway. And so it's, it's like settling in, getting back out, going, it's kind of, you're constantly in motion, and it's a lot, but it's really fun, and it's nice because there's not room for anything else. I can't be worried about daily things. It's just go, 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 and it's pretty great. But I just love the crowds, and I love the small differences between each town. And, I have family in Indianapolis.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I do.
Very cool. So you've been to Indy before?
I have.
Yeah. We love it here. Obviously, we live here, but we're excited for you to be here as well. I'm curious, your career is so amazing because it's done everything from TV to film to obviously the tour to now hosting Stupid Pet Tricks, all of those things. Do you have a favorite within those? Is it the film? Is it the TV? Or is it the stand-up? Or what's your favorite?
I don't know. My favorite is that I get to do odd jobs. I love just doing odd jobs. And that's really the joy. I mean, being a stand-up is like who I am, know, but I like all the things, and I love acting, and I just like being able to do all sorts of different things, even like the podcast, which I never thought I'd have a podcast, but I should have figured I would because everybody does. And once the pandemic hit, I couldn't do stand-up. I had to do something, and that's turned into its own thing that went in a direction I would have never imagined. And look at me with these are my.
You look like a professional. Yeah, it's amazing.
Like I'm directing traffic, like air traffic controller.
Yeah.
These are my PlayStation headphones. So I have like this
big
mic.
gamer.
I look like such a nerd.
Talking trash to like teenage kids on the PlayStation.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I always had it on mute when I would play.
Yeah, that's what my wife does. She loves playing, but it's always on mute. She's like, I can't handle people talking trash to me, and I don't want to.
Well, then I unmuted it, and, I love playing, but that doesn't mean I'm great at it. And then I was listening, and it's like 14-year-old kids going like, quit this game. This is not for you.
Yeah, nothing cuts to your core like that. Yeah. One of my favorite thing about you and why I think I gravitate towards you as a comedian is you are so genuine in everything you do, whether it's on a talk show or it's acting or it's your stand-up. It just feels like this is Sarah Silverman and that's who she is. How much of that plays into what you do, just being authentic and being yourself? Everything,
because I think doing stand-up is, even if you do a character, like up in the beginning of my career, I was kind of doing a character, but anything you're doing is kind of figuring out who you are, because if you're figuring out who you are on stage, you better be figuring out who you are, you know, and all of us need to be doing that, of course, but as a comic, it's, a lot of comics are afraid to like go to therapy and get well because it's the part of them that is unwell that drove them to need approval from strangers, Yes. And so they don't want to mess with that. For me, it's really helped and it's informed so much of the stuff I end up talking about because I get excited about this new stuff I learn and the way I figure out and also just the dynamics between people and learning like dealing with the audience in a different way and it's just very, to me, it gets me going. Like I get really interested in it. But there is something about having a little bit less of a need to get the approval of strangers that makes you less motivated to go and go and go. But I do just love the form so much. And, I love it. So I'm not worried about like getting too well. I don't think that can happen. I get to interview a lot of comedians, people coming through on tour, and it's one of my favorite things to do because each person has similarities, but also things that are different. But one of my favorite questions I always ask is, when did you find out or realize that you were funny and that this was something you might be able to do? Was there a moment or a time in life? Yeah. I mean, when I was 3, I was one of those toddlers that my dad thought it would be hilarious to teach me swears,
Yeah.
So he brought me to the supermarket, Boys Market in Manchester, New Hampshire, and I yelled out this string of swears that he taught me. And all of a sudden, I really kind of remember this, like getting all this like wild approval from grown-ups, like despite themselves, like, and it felt like drugs, It felt like a high. My arms itched with glee, looking back, and it was when I wrote my book, The Bedwetter, that I pieced all of this together, because you have to kind of be a detective in your own life. And I realized that was the addiction of that feeling of surprising people, which really led me to be kind of a shock comic up in the beginning, and still in some ways of like that element of surprise it really tracks.
Yeah. I will say this. I know it's not popular, but it's still funny every single time a little kid says something they shouldn't. Like, it still makes me laugh. My youngest struggled to say "suck my thumb," and we would always try to make her say it. And yeah, you can do the rest with your mind. But it was hilarious every single time. This tour that you're on, Postmortem tour, what can people expect when they come to your show?
It's about life and death. It's actually, it's more thematic than other tours I've have been, because it's really about, don't feel bad, my parents dying. And, my dad and my stepmom passed away 9 days apart a year ago last May. And it was a crazy experience. And, it's one of those experiences, it's universal, but it's totally singular for each person. Yeah. And it really came out of that, like once I did my dad's eulogy, I was like, you're a comic, so you're like, oh, there's a lot there, and I've always talked a lot about my dad because he was so funny and bizarre. And so it just became all kind of one piece, and that's why it's called Postmortem.
I find that both my parents, it's now been 11 years, but they passed within the same summer. And it's so funny because to me, healing is in laughter. And so I still crack jokes to this day. And if people don't know me, it takes a second for them to be like, am I allowed to also do that? And, but I think that it's different for everyone. And I think as we get older, we start to feel more in tune with what this theming is going to be.
Yeah. Like, you're never old enough to like not feel devastated when your parents go, but there's so many funny things. I mean, like, and even obviously I think I tend towards my material tends towards like the darkest corners of life. And we're a dark family. And when my stepmother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, my dad was sobbing. We're very close. And he's like, I don't want to live without Janice. I don't want to be in a world without her. And I was trying to console him. And I said, Dad, don't worry, statistically you won't. But I didn't know that would come true. I mean, obviously this isn't a time to say I told you so, but.
Yeah, but you get to. So thank you. We are so excited for you to be here. I could talk to you for far too long. I know you've got to get to an airport to get out on tour, and I've got another show to do. But thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us. We're so excited for you to be here.
It was awesome talking to you.
We will put all the information for those tickets over at lifestylelive.tv. Sarah, take care and safe travels.
All right, thanks.
Lifestyle Live. Lifestyle Live.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Lifestyle Live Podcast. Thank you for listening. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And connect for even more on Facebook and at lifestylelive.tv.
Faces you know and a team you can trust. Stories that form your heart.